This is Matthew Cratter from Trader University, and today I want to talk about the latest attack on Bitcoin. It all starts with this guy, Chris Larsen, who's one of the co-founders of Ripple, and this is how he became a billionaire, by co-founding Ripple. Now, Ripple's main business, they're a corporation based in, I believe, in San Francisco. Their main business is printing up their own private form of money, these garbage coins called XRP, dumping them on naive retail investors, and then using that money to pay for advertising for their own currency, which they tell very naive people who don't generally understand how the global financial system works, tell these people that XRP is somehow going to be the next global reserve currency or special bridge currency used by banks, a concept which doesn't even make any sense. Unfortunately for Ripple, they're currently being sued by the SEC for something they did, which is basically, as a corporation, issuing tokens, which really are unregistered securities. So they have their own problems here, and they have their own ethical challenges. One problem with XRP is it's performed very, very poorly. It's performed very poorly because the company is constantly selling more coins on the market, because this is how they make money. So XRP was not even able to hit new all-time highs during the current crypto bull market. So this is the guy behind this marketing campaign, which is attacking Bitcoin. He's teaming up with Greenpeace and a couple other groups, and they want to run this marketing campaign to pressure Bitcoin to move from proof of work, which is this energy-intensive consensus mechanism, and it's perhaps the most important feature of Bitcoin. They want to encourage or pressure Bitcoin to move from proof of work to something more like proof of stake, to a low energy-intensive consensus mechanism. And this is going to be a marketing campaign called Change the Code, not the climate. I've already spent many videos talking about Bitcoin's environmental impact, its use of energy, etc. So I don't want to go too deep into that in this video, but I will link to this video on Bitcoin and the electricity police, as well as this article on whether Bitcoin mining wastes energy. I would say the short summary of this is, if you think something is useless, expending any energy on it is considered a waste. So if, for example, you consider Christmas lights to be completely useless, and you've never had kids or grandkids and seen the joy in their eyes, then of course you will consider Christmas lights to be a complete waste. I also want to link to these fact sheets that were put up that answer many of the most common questions about, is Bitcoin mining unnecessary? Energy consumption, blah, blah, blah. Is the consumption going to get worse? So I have two fact sheets, which I will link to. And maybe in a later video, I'll go into this in a little bit more depth. But this is really this kind of energy FUD. I've covered it extensively on this channel. I've been making videos about this for years. This has been FUD that's been leveled against Bitcoin for a very long time. Here's an article from Newsweek from 2017, basically predicting that Bitcoin mining would consume all of the world's energy by 2020. We've always seen, we're quite used to these alarmist articles, and we've seen them on various other topics since the 60s and 70s on, for example, environmental topics. So this is an example of this kind of energy FUD. These critics have been completely wrong. They don't understand how Bitcoin works. But I think there's something much more sinister at work here, which is what I want to focus on in this video. Chris Larsen is a big fan of Vitalik Buterin, and as you might imagine, these cockroaches stick together. And he's repeatedly praised Ethereum for its initiative moving away from proof of work to proof of stake. He also, as part of this marketing campaign, has been praising coins that are controlled by VC insiders and oligarchs like Solana and Cardano. So these are the kind of coins he likes. It makes sense because he himself is an oligarch who printed up his own money and made all of his billions in this way, rather than providing something useful to the world. And so what he wants Bitcoin to do is to move from proof of work to proof of stake. And this is really how billionaires, crypto billionaires, non-Bitcoin crypto billionaires think. Now, the big disadvantage of proof of stake is the more coins you have, the more coins you get, because you basically just stake them, you sit on them, you get paid for doing nothing. By contrast, Bitcoin mining is very dynamic. The most prominent Bitcoin mining groups around today are not the same as they were 5 years ago. It's a very competitive industry, whereas proof of stake is really the fat and rich get fatter and richer. The other problem with proof of stake, of course, is the more coins you have, the more control you have over the system. So it's really a terrible way of doing things. If you like the current system is basically proof of stake, where we have people like Jamie Dimon, people like Warren Buffett, who invest in things and then expect a bailout at the expense of taxpayers and the U.S. Treasury issuing a lot of debt to pay off these oligarchs. So this is the problem with proof of stake. This is what we have right now. We have the Federal Reserve, we have central banks that are beholden to Wall Street and billionaires. And this is what Ethereum is moving towards. It's already an oligarchic form of currency, but this is one of the major attacks on Bitcoin. And you have these crypto billionaires who printed up their own money trying to piggyback and attack Bitcoin. But all you need to know, you need to understand something. It's usually sufficient to just understand who its enemies are. And Vitalik Buterin is obviously an enemy of Bitcoin, as is Hoskinson, Charles Hoskinson, Chris Larsen, etc. And then you look at the groups that like proof of stake coins, that like Ethereum or like Solana, and you get groups like the World Economic Forum that are very, very interested, of course, in trying to make sure that whatever system, whatever currency system we transition to, that it is a captured system, that they can capture it in the way that they've captured the U.S. dollar system. So really, you have to know your enemies, and you have to know which coins they're in favor of. And this tells you everything. World Economic Forum hates Bitcoin and is much more amenable to coins like Ethereum. Now, this marketing campaign, this Change the Code, Not Change the Climate marketing campaign against Bitcoin that Chris Larsen is helping to fund, it's going to fail just like the Blocksize wars failed in 2017. There was the New York Agreement, where all these large Bitcoin companies, including scummy companies like Coinbase and a lot of Bitcoin miners, got together and tried to force a change on the protocol, tried to force it to increase the block size. And this was really a seminal moment in Bitcoin's history because it showed who was in control. You had all these highly moneyed groups going after Bitcoin, trying to change it, trying to capture it in a way that would serve their own interests. And it turns out they were not able to do it. The miners weren't able to do it. The whales were not able to do it. The corporations, the Bitcoin corporations and other crypto corporations were not able to do it because it was revealed that really it's the full nodes that control the Bitcoin protocol. You can come up with whatever software you want, but as a Bitcoin full node runner, it doesn't mean that I'm going to use your version of the software. And we have these nodes all over the world. They tend to be very ideological, like myself. They're not going to put code in there or run code that somehow dilutes the supply or changes the consensus mechanism from proof of work to proof of stake. So this is a marketing campaign. It's a social attack, but it's destined to fail because the people who run full nodes will never accept it and will never upgrade to a proof of stake Bitcoin system. If you want to read more about the Blocksize wars, there is the first chapter is available for free here on the BitMEX website, talking about this point in Bitcoin history. But this is, I just want to, one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is I'm often called a Bitcoin maximalist. I prefer to refer to myself just as a Bitcoiner. But it's important to understand what this altcoin playbook looks like and who these enemies are in the crypto space. People like Chris Larsen, who printed up their own money and then using this money to pay for social attacks on Bitcoin, and not just to try to bring down Bitcoin, but also to pump their own coins, to pay for social attacks like government attacks, NGO attacks, World Economic Forum attacks on Bitcoin. And then whenever there's some sort of regulatory pressure from Congress, you have all the Ethereans and all the Solanans and everyone else saying, oh, we're in this together. But I hope you see one reason I'm so against altcoins, because one of the main ways they've been used is for social attacks and other governmental attacks on Bitcoin. People like Chris Larsen, people in the current system, government officials, regulators, they want regulatory capture of Bitcoin. They're happy to let you use it as long as you only use it in the way that they want you to, in a very KYC registered, non-private way, and maybe even using their version of a consensus mechanism, saying you have to use proof of stake for this. But this is not a neutral global money. If you have to get permission to use it, or if you have to appease the regulators and make sure that they're happy with the consensus mechanism like proof of work or proof of stake that you are using. Chris Larsen is a very scummy person, in my opinion. Again, I just know him from the internet. Please don't sue me, Chris. But here's a perfect article where he talks urging regulators to punish Bitcoiners, calling Vitalik Buterin a hero. So that's all you really need to know about Chris Larsen, apart from the fact that he got rich on the backs of retail investors who are now sitting on huge losses on their XRP. It looks like this is just going to be a marketing campaign, change the code, not change the climate. It's going to try to make prominent Bitcoiners like Jack Dorsey, Elon Musk, who's a bit of a questionable Bitcoiner, but nevertheless has bought a lot of Bitcoin through Tesla, trying to make these people look bad and sort of leverage an ESG attack on them. The real way you know that this is not a serious proposal, that this is just a social attack on Bitcoin, is there's no BIP for it. Chris Larsen and this marketing campaign, Greenpeace, have not applied for a Bitcoin improvement or submitted a Bitcoin improvement proposal, which you can do through GitHub here. And this is where the code is constantly being debated and new features are being debated. If they were serious about this, they would submit a Bitcoin improvement proposal that could then receive widespread comment among the devs, among other Bitcoiners. And this is really how we got the Taproot upgrade. It has to go through this process, and there's sort of a consensus that needs to be built. But this is the sure sign that this is just a slanderous attack on Bitcoin, that they're not really interested in even submitting a Bitcoin improvement proposal. So if you own XRP, if you own Ethereum, you really have to know who these people are. These are evil, evil people that are on the same level as the fiat regulators, the fiat oligarchs that we're trying to move away from. And if you hold these currencies, they're going to continue to depreciate against Bitcoin, as XRP has continued to do over time. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. If you want to be notified when I publish my next video, hit the notification bell. Let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.